What you're looking at here is data taken from a man who matched with 500 women over a 2-year period, and he went on 100 dates. One of my personal missions with this channel is to convince people that dating apps and dating websites are an absolute cesspool that are going to drain your self-esteem as a man and convince you to delete them from your phone. This data really helps my case. It's awful. So if you use these dating apps or you're even tempted to use them, please watch this video in its entirety and give me a chance to convince you otherwise. First, did the women look like their profiles in real life? Spoiler alert, no, of course not. 71% were heavier than their profile showed, 66% looked older than their stated age, and 38% looked nothing like their profile. Some women will post honest photos, and props to them, but you've got to realize with these apps that women have a huge incentive to lie and to mislead the men they're matching with, because the better they look, the more likely that a high quality man is going to agree to come and meet them. If you expect a woman to look like her profile pictures, then you're a fool. Just think of it from her perspective. She's looking at 2 photos. One is taken now and one was taken 5 years ago when she was looking a lot healthier and skinnier and younger. She's obviously going to choose that photo. Don't expect anything different. Number of matches that tried to get me to sign up for their private porn or OnlyFans site. 141. I mean, I don't even know what to add to that. 141 out of the 500 matches were just attempts to get you onto OnlyFans. The one thing I'll say is that however high that number is now, what is that, like around 30%? It's going to get higher in the future. If you think that the number of women out there who have chosen to do sex work instead of dating is high at the moment, you haven't seen anything yet. Let's talk again in 10 years. Okay, so the guy went on 100 dates and that turned into 38 second dates, 21 third dates, and 9 7+ dates. Well, that's pretty much what you'd expect. There's a natural drop off. Only 9 out of the 100 women that he went on dates with was worthwhile seeing in the long run. Yeah, that's probably about what I'd expect. 17 dates that got drunk. I actually don't know if that's a high number or not. I don't drink alcohol. It does seem weird to get wasted on a first date though. Like, how drunk were they? Was it his responsibility to get them home then? First date impressions. 31% were dressed like they just rolled out of bed. 26% were dressed like they just left the gym. 61% had way too much makeup on. Incorrectly spelled too. 36% had way too much perfume on. 53% had hair up in a messy bun, 18% wore heels, 91% couldn't put their phones away, 93% were late. 91% had phone addictions and 93% were late. The overall impression here is that women don't really need to put in a lot of effort. They can be late, they can play on their phones, they can dress lazily. Why do they behave this way? Well, it's because they can get away with it. That is the reality of the dating market. There are so many thirsty guys out there, just an uncountable number of men who are so desperate to be with a woman that they'll put up with anything. Women have this sense of invincibility and entitlement. I can behave however I want and there's still going to be men that want me, that desire me, and they're not wrong. I know there are people out there who believe that women these days have this exaggerated sense of their own desirability. They overprice themselves in the dating market, but that's not how I see it. I think that they have an accurate perception of their own market value and options because there's that many thirsty guys out there. The tolerance for tacky female behavior is at an all-time cultural high. 41 kissed on the first date, 16 had sex on the first date, 24 wanted to have sex on the first date. This one actually surprises me. That's pretty high. It seems rare that you would actually have chemistry with somebody that you just randomly met through a dating app, enough chemistry to be kissing them. 24 wanted sex and 16 had sex on the first date. I don't get that. As a high quality guy, sex with you should be a special event. It should be something noteworthy, something that she has to earn. She's got to have to put in more effort than just going on one date with you. I guess I sort of respect the fact that he turned down 8 women who wanted to have sex with him and he didn't. Like, a lot of guys wouldn't even do that. They just do it. But in my value system, there's no way that you could know somebody well enough from just one date to actually be able to determine whether or not they are worthy of sleeping with you. The only way you could actually have that much sex is if you don't really place that much value on yourself, or you don't place that much value on sex. So you're like, okay, whatever. I find that really sad, but That's just my personal value system. I know there are lots of guys who don't feel that way. They're like, yep, if a woman's up for it, let's just do it. The bad. 2 stalked me. 13 ghosted me. Only 13? That's not that many. 9 asked to borrow money. 4 cried on the first date. 1 I had to call the police on. 3 broke a law when they were with me. None of those stats are really that interesting. Like ghosting is common. The break a law one's pretty weird. There's probably some funny stories there. The one that stands out to me is that 9 out of the 100 women that he went on a first date with asked to borrow money. That's really high. And it's so weird to think about. Because as a man, it's difficult to really comprehend how important finances are in like a woman's dating calculations, because the genders are just so far apart on this one. Men don't really care about how much money a woman makes. They don't go on a first date thinking, all right, how am I going to get this woman to lend me money or to buy my OnlyFans? Men just don't think that way. But that's kind of the point of this channel, is I'm always pointing out the differences between men and women and the evolutionary impulses that created the 2 genders and why we behave the way that we do. I might personally not be able to relate as a man to, hitting up a woman I'm on a date with for money, but perhaps if I was a woman and I'd been born a woman and I was broke and I thought, it's going to take so much time to make all this money, all this effort, I don't want to get a job. Maybe if I was really desperate, I might be thinking, what's a lot easier than starting a career is just shacking up with some guy, who's wealthy, or finding some simp dude to just, pay me or lend me money. Like as a woman, that is a legitimate option that might occur to me, but it never occurs to me as a man. 87% talked about their kids. All right, that tells us something. He must be dating an older demographic of women. 77% were scorned by an ex. 73% said that they had trust issues. 73% of women having trust issues, that's one thing. 73% of women having such intense trust issues and such boldness as to explicitly state that on a first date, that is remarkable. 71% talked about politics and Orange Man bad. Orange Man, this guy must be a Trump supporter. 68% talked about past and present medical problems. How is this coming up on a first date? How is that good banter? They must be making such little effort. 64% said they don't have time to date. What? How? The cognitive dissonance is extraordinary. You were on a date. What? 62% said they're suffering from some form of depression. 57% talked about their current financial situation. Wow. That's 77% scorned by an ex and all the women with trust issues. That's a red flag. You need to watch out for that one. I've done videos on this in the past, but if a woman is blaming all of their problems on ex-partners and claims that they were the innocent victim and that they were the victim of some, horrible man, you need to ask a lot of follow-up questions, because the danger is that maybe she had a role in that relationship turning toxic. And if she can't see that, she can't take responsibility for that, what's to stop her from playing out that exact same pattern with you? You could be a perfectly nice guy, perfect boyfriend, but she might be the kind of woman who just has a victimhood complex and blames everything on you. Check out my video. If she can't answer this question, dump her. I'll put a link to the description box below. Really good video. 71% talked about politics. I mean, it's so sad. It's such a shame. Everything is becoming political. I did a video on my Patreon about how to handle it if you have a girlfriend who goes really, really woke and political. Check it out if you're one of my patrons. I think that I would disqualify somebody on the basis of intelligence if I was on a date with them and she said, as 64% of these women did, that she doesn't have time to date. 62% have depression. I mean, online dating is such a cesspool. And I'm not shaming you if you have mental health issues and you're dealing with depression. Honestly, you do have my full compassion, but it's just so weird to talk about that on a first date. Like, aren't people meant to be trying to make a good first impression, put their best foot forward? How is your depression, a good first date topic? Are women making any effort here? As a general rule, if you have depression, now is not the right time to be getting into a relationship. You've got to sort that shit out first before you're ready to be with another person. Otherwise, you're just going to become codependent and miserable. 57% talked about their current financial situation. This is so bad. So let's summarize what a date with 2/3 of these women actually looks like. Hi, I'm Tiffany. I'm broke. I'm depressed. I blame everything on politicians and my ex-boyfriend. Would you like to know my medical history? Also, before this date goes any further, I need to let you know that I don't have time to date. If you need to pause this video right now and go and delete Tinder off your phone, I completely understand. All right, let's keep going. The most expensive date, $237. Average date cost, $78.51. Number of times a date paid, 3. Number of times a date split the check, 27. Yeah, that's pretty much what I expected, about 1/3 split the check. It doesn't say whether or not they offered to or not. Perhaps the most surprising here is the average cost of the date. Like, that seems really high to me. This guy must have expensive dates. I think you're safer on a first date to not put down too much of a financial investment in case she turns out to be like a crazy person you want to bail out. You know, get a coffee, go to just a casual cafe, go for a walk or something. All right, profiles of my 500 matches. 488 of the 500 had photos of them exercising. Okay. 481 had photos of them eating or drinking. 464 had at least one photo in their profile they were not in. Pictures of food, nature, art, etc. 441 had moderately filtered photos. I actually don't know what that means. 408 had photos of them hiking. Really? 80% had photos of them hiking? That seems really high. 315 had photos of only their head or face. Because they don't want to show their body, I guess. 291 had memes or quotes as photos. 273 profiles said no hookups. 267 had Snapchat animations in their photos. Crown of flowers, puppy dog ears, etc. I feel so old, I don't even know what Snapchat animations are. 206 had heavily filtered photos. 202 referenced Donald Trump, good and bad. 197 spoke negatively about prior relationships in their profile. 162 had cats in their pictures. That's an interesting thing to keep track of. That is really high. 91 only had one photo in their profile. I mean, the exercising, the hiking, that's probably a good idea. Men like women who are in good shape. So, you know, you're putting your best foot forward there. The no hookups one's interesting. I wonder if those are the same women who tried to get him to sign up for their OnlyFans. Or the same women who said that they don't have time to date. 197 spoke negatively about their past relationships in their profile. I think that is an instant disqualifier. Just avoid women who do that. They might be 100% in the right and genuine victims of what happened, or they might just be complainers and have a huge victimhood complex. You can't really tell, but the fact that their past relationship looms so large in their consciousness that they have to talk about it even in their profile, that's the red flag. That's what you want to avoid. It's weird that he took note of how many cat photos that there were. That probably makes me think that the guy's a bit of a misogynist. You know, it's that kind of meme like women are going to end up alone in their cats. So the fact that he's documenting that, I mean, the fact that he even took all of this data and collated it, that's pretty weird. Don't get me wrong, I'm grateful. Like, this is all really, really interesting. But like, if I had to guess, the guy's probably a douche. Anyway, I really hope that people take from all of this the same lesson that I do, which is that you have to stay off these dating apps and these dating websites. It's just filled with low quality women. If you're looking to catch a particular type of fish, you don't just lower your hook into the middle of the ocean and just hope for the best. You go to a particular place where that specific fish resides. You don't just rely on random luck. You strategically concentrate your efforts where they're most likely to yield a positive result. Relationships are only worth it with high quality women, and unfortunately, high quality women are the minority. The chances of you just randomly matching with one on Tinder and the two of you hitting it off and she liking you is extremely, extremely low. Every single day that you spend time on these dating apps, you're going to get more cynical, more frustrated, more depressed. Birds of a feather flock together. High quality women hang out with other high quality women. They mix in the same social circle. High quality women don't need to go on dating apps because they're always meeting eligible high quality men through their group of friends. For more information about how to make this social circle game work for you, I really recommend the video High Quality Women, How to Meet Them. I'll put a link in the description box below. It's one of the most important videos on my entire channel. But please believe me when I say that all of the time, energy, and effort that you're putting into online dating is a million times better invested into yourself, on improving yourself and creating the life that you want, and putting yourself in those high quality people's social circles that are actually going to get you to meet the kind of woman that you could spend the rest of your life with. I think that the friend zone is just as confusing for women as it is for men. I had this email from a young female viewer. She watches the channel. If you want to see her email, I've got it as the pinned comment down below. But she's really messed up a whole bunch of relationships trying to do the right thing. These guys like her, including this one really older guy, and she wants to maintain friendships with them. She cares about them, but they just get more pissed off at her. Anyway, she wanted my advice, and so I told her a whole bunch of advice. I went through the whole thing. It's the topic of my latest Patreon video. So if you want to see that, just go and sign up for my Patreon.